Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Today we are back with the Championship predictions and we've got midweek fixtures coming up for you guys. Tell you what, Sophie, I'm buzzing with how Coventry City are doing. Yeah,
it's very hard to not get carried away at the moment, but as a Cov fan we need to try and keep our heads a little bit.
Absolutely. There's some really interesting results over the weekend just gone. Let's get into the predictions for the upcoming week. Just before we get into this video, guys, if you haven't already, it's really important, drop a like on this one. Let's get over 100 likes. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get started with Cardiff City versus West Bromwich Albion. Now, first things first, Cardiff City, bad defeat at Blackburn. Not looking great. I wonder if Mick McCarthy's now a man under pressure. I feel like he could be. Can he turn things around? It's going to be tough to do it here against West Brom, who are still undefeated and are back to winning ways after that late win against QPR. I think I'm just going to back the Baggies. Cardiff 0, West Brom 1.
Yeah, I think Cardiff, they've just had like a drop in form. I don't know if they've lost their last 3, but I know the last 5 fixtures they've not got many results from them, so I'm gonna have to back the Baggies here as well, but I think it's going to be a little bit more convincing. 2-0 for me. 2-0,
yeah, interesting. Next we go to Huddersfield Town versus Blackburn Rovers. Huddersfield, they've fallen away a tiny bit. They're not in the top 6 anymore. Meanwhile, Blackburn are doing really well. I just think Blackburn, like we always say at the start of every season, are strong. It's just whether they can keep it up over the season, and I think I'm going to back Rovers here. Huddersfield 1, Blackburn 2.
Yeah, I'm going to back 2-1 as well. I know Blackburn striker Ben Brereton, he's just on fire. I know he's joint top with, I think like 3-4 of the players with 7 goals. But I think he got a hat-trick at the weekend. He's just firing them in. So I think he's going to get at least 1 against Huddersfield. But to be fair to Huddersfield, they've started better than I thought. I think it's, battle of 6th and 7th, so they're very, very close together in the table. But yeah, I'm going to have to back Blackburn 2-1.
2-1. Next up is an absolutely massive game down the bottom. 2 of the newly promoted teams, Hull City taking on Blackpool. And if you go by the form guide, you've got to back Blackpool FC, who've been winning quite a lot lately. Hull City know this is a massive game, and I always think 2 newly promoted teams, when they meet, it's a massive opportunity for each team to pick up 3 points. This is really hard to call. I'm going to go with the form guide. Sorry, Hull fans, but Hull City 0, Blackpool 1.
For me, it's not as hard to call. I'd say with being away, it's going to be a little bit harder for Blackpool, but they've done it before earlier in the season. They've had some really good results, so fair play to them. So I'm going to back them to win again here, 2-0.
2-0. Next up, we go to the Riverside, Middlesbrough Football Club versus Sheffield United, and 2 teams that really want to get a move on and really start climbing the table. Sheffield United have actually started to put a couple of results together with that late win against Derby as well. Middlesbrough, meanwhile, not looking so good, and they're going to be without Matt Crooks for this one, obviously getting sent off in that Reading game. I don't know, this one could be a tight game. I think I'm going to go for Middlesbrough 1, Sheffield United 1 here.
See, I'm going to back Sheffield United to win again. I think, they've had their turn in form. It took a couple games to get used to it again, but I think, they're going to now push on. And, Middlesbrough, they're not in the best of form, to be honest, so this is a good time for Sheffield United to play them. I think there's going to be goals from both teams, but I think Sheffield United are just going to have that little bit more quality up top, so 2-1.
2-1. Next up, to Deepdale, Preston North End versus Stoke City. Stoke continue to churn out these decent results. Preston, meanwhile, after that really bad start, have climbed away from the relegation zone a bit, and I think they're in for a more like a mid-table season finish at this point. Really hard to predict. I don't want to go for a draw, so let's just go for the away team. Preston 0, Stoke City 1.
Yeah, it made me laugh when you said I don't want to go for a draw, because I was thinking this has got a draw written all over it for me. I think it's going to be 0-0. Preston just seem to be grinding out these draws. Like when I think they're going to lose, they just manage to either stop the other team completely and grind out the results, or they just manage to get the point. And I think they're going to do the same against Stoke, so I think it's going to be a stalemate. 0-0. 0-0.
Interesting that. Next up, we go down to Loftus Road, Queen's Park Rangers versus Birmingham City. Now, 2 teams that they've had reasonably good starts but fallen away a little bit lately. Both going to try and maybe sneak into the top 6 or at least battle for it this season, and I don't think there's a lot between these 2. I think this could be a really good game though. I think both teams will score, and I'm going to go for QPR 2, Birmingham 2.
Oh, so I'm going to back a draw as well. I think, yeah, they're both... Their form's a little bit up and down at the moment. I know QPR's form has slightly dipped, and I think they're just going to steady the ship and get a draw tonight, and then they should push on. So I'm going to say 1-1. I think there will be goals.
Yeah, I think that's a very hard game to call. Next up, we'll move on to Wednesday's fixtures. We've got Barnsley Football Club versus Nottingham Forest. Forest have actually turned a corner a little bit, and with Derby County getting a points deduction, they're obviously not bottom anymore, so things are looking a little bit more up for Forest, aren't they? Meanwhile, Barnsley, they're not looking too convincing at the moment, and if they're not careful, they could really get sucked into a battle down the bottom this season. Still, they've both got potential to climb away from it this season, so I'm going to go for another share of the spoils. This one, I'm going to go for Barnsley 1, Nottingham Forest 1.
I'm actually going to back Forest here. I think, yeah, they needed to have a turn in form at some point, and I think it is starting to come. With Barnsley, yeah, I think you're right. They could be sucked into a relegation battle if they're not careful, because some of their performances, it's not even just the results, it's some of the performances as well. For me, they're not looking the best. So I'm going to back them to lose 2-1. 2-1.
Next up, we go to Pride Park, Derby County versus Reading FC. This could be the battle of two teams getting points deductions this season. We already know Derby have been hit with theirs, and yeah, it wasn't a great result against Sheffield United as well. They were looking like another 0-0, another solid point, but they lost very late on and just rubbed salt in the wounds for the Derby fans. They're back at home now, and at home they've been pretty good, so a real opportunity to win, but they're up against Reading, who are in pretty good form, and yeah, they ground out a really hard-fought 1-0 against Middlesbrough at the weekend, so Derby will see this as a chance to get some points, but Reading are looking good at the moment, so once again, a draw. Derby County 1, Reading 1.
I feel like for this one, I'm just going to have to back Reading to get the 3 points. I think it is going to be a tough game. And yeah, Derby aren't looking dreadful. But yeah, I think I'm just going to have to go off form at the moment. And Reading are in very good form. So I think it's going to be a tight game, but 1-0 Reading.
1-0 Reading. Next up, we move down to Craven Cottage, Fulham Football Club versus Swansea City. And I know it's early days, but Fulham have dropped some points already, haven't they? They've been not at their best yet, but it's early and they're still around 4th in the table, so I'm sure they're going to pick up a bit and start flying towards the top 2 more. But Swansea City, it's an interesting obstacle. Swansea have been picking up a couple results here and there, but not really majorly consistent under Russell Martin yet, so I think you have to go for a home win here, and I'm going to go for Fulham 2-0.
See, I'm so tempted to back a Fulham win because I think, yeah, they have got the better team, and Swansea, they haven't started very well at all. However, they are grinding out draws here and there, and I think they could hold off Fulham. So I'm going to go for a shock 0-0.
A shock 0-0. Next up, we go down to Kenilworth Road, Luton Town versus the mighty Coventry City, and it's tricky when we're on the road because whenever we're at home, I think I'm going to back Coventry City, unless it's maybe against one of the very top teams. But on the road, we're still quite good, but not as good as we are at home. And Luton Town's the kind of ground where they kind of gave us a lesson last year. We went there, they were just more efficient at putting the ball in the back of the net. They beat us 2-0, but we're a different team this year. Luton is still a solid team, so I feel like I might go for a draw, but I've just got a positive frame of mind right now, and I'm sorry Luton fans, but I'm going to back my team here. Luton 1, Coventry City 2. Gyökeres is going to get a goal.
Yeah, from what I've seen from Luton, they are creating the chances. They just can't finish them off this season, which I don't know whether their team's playing like a different style of football compared to last year, because they were very defensive last year, and this season they seem to be going out a little bit more, but then they're conceding a few goals because of it. So I think we are going to score, and they've got a few injuries as well, so this could be a good result for us. However, our away form isn't the best. So I'm going to say 2-2.
2-2. Yeah, it could be a really good game, that one. Make sure to watch out for my live stream on Wednesday. Next up, we go down to the Den, Millwall versus Bristol City. And these are the kind of teams where they've just been in the Championship a while and they're not moving in any direction, are they? They both had their good seasons, they both had their bad seasons. Ultimately, I don't think either of them are going to get promoted or relegated this season. But having said that, they've both had good glimpses where, who knows, they could get into the top 6 this season. Bristol City have been picking up some decent results lately, and Millwall, they're strong as well. So they're both fairly stubborn, and I'm going to go for Millwall 1, Bristol City 1.
Yeah, I'm tempted to say a 1-1 draw as well. I feel like Bristol City might slightly edge it, so it's either going to be like a 1-0 their way for me or a 1-1. But just, yeah, being at home, I feel like they're going to grind out the points. So 1-1 for me as well.
1-1. The last game on the Wednesday night is between Peterborough United and AFC Bournemouth. Now, if this was at Bournemouth, I think I'd go for a heavy Bournemouth win. But it's at Peterborough, and that's where Peterborough are picking up their points at the moment. So this might come as a bit of a shock. But Peterborough United won, AFC Bournemouth won. I think at home, they just look a slightly better team. I know they lost against Coventry, but they had a couple of decent players, and I think at home is where they're going to get most of their points. Bournemouth, meanwhile, yeah, they're very good, but you've got to chuck in a freak result every now and then, so that's mine, 1-1.
Yeah, I can see why you're saying that, because they are a better team at home, and that is where they're going to pick up most of their points this season. And they didn't play terribly against us. We just had a good 10 minutes where we just blitzed them. They fell apart after they conceded 1. They do have a couple of good players, but I think their best player for me, which I've seen, Dembele, he seemed to have gone off injured, so I don't think he'll be taking part. I don't know what the injury was, but it didn't look good. So saying that, they're going to be without one of their better players. Bournemouth, they're looking very, very solid. They're in good form, and yeah, they're looking at the moment almost unstoppable. So for me, I think it's going to be another 3-0 loss.
Oof, 3-0 to AFC Bournemouth. That wraps up tonight's predictions, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Some big games coming up this midweek, and then obviously we've got some more fixtures at the weekend, and then it's the international break. Make sure you've dropped a like on this one, subscribed if you're new, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.